What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, I'm going to talk about FPL Challenge, a brand new weekly game that FPL have just launched, which you can play alongside the main game, how it works, the differences to FPL, the little bit of a twist they've got on the weekly challenges, and also I'll go through my draft for game week 30. I should say that FPL did give me a heads up about how the game would work so that I could create this video so it was ready to go live as soon as the game launched. They haven't told me I have to make a video. They haven't told me what to say or anything like that. This is all my own thoughts and opinions, but I just wanted to make you guys aware. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and let's get into it. So let's start with what FPL Challenge actually is. So it's completely separate to the main FPL game, a little bit like FPL Draft. So any points you score in FPL Challenge don't cross over to the main season-long game. So you can choose to play this as an additional game alongside it, or even just ignore it completely if it's not for you. There might even be some of you out there that have played FPL for so long, you don't like the constant planning, and you might want to give that up. You could just play FPL Challenge instead. It's going to be very familiar for anyone that has played FPL for a while, easy to pick up, but it's also going to be easy to pick up for anyone that hasn't played FPL, as I'll discuss later on. It's a more casual format. There's no long-term planning. You essentially pick a new squad every single week, and you're not penalised if you miss a game week. So if I enter a squad in FPL Challenge for game week 30, the only points that team will score is for game week 30 itself. It won't then carry over into game week 31. If I want to play the game week 31 challenge, I'll have to enter a new squad. The nice thing about that is there's prizes on offer every single week. And if I'm busy or I'm on holiday and I just don't want to play for a couple of weeks, I'm not being penalised at all. So you could enter a team for game weeks 30, 31, 32, brand new squad every time. And if you're busy for 33, 34, 35, you can just pick it up from game week 36 onwards, right? And obviously this game will run from game week 1 next season as well. So if you miss a week, it really doesn't matter. There's also no traditional deadlines, but I'm not sure if that makes it a more casual format or not, because essentially you might have to be on top of the lineups a little bit more than you are in the main FPL game, but I'll discuss that a little bit later. So how does the game actually work? So you have one team just like in FPL, and you can join up to 25 different mini-leagues. And as far as I'm aware, the points in those mini-leagues reset every single week because, of course, it's a weekly game. Now, at the time of recording, the game's not officially live yet, so I haven't set up the Let's Talk FPL mini-league, but I will do that, and I'll leave a pinned comment on YouTube so you can join it, and I'll tweet about it as well, just in case you're listening on podcast. And obviously, if you join that, you can go and join another 24 leagues if you want to. You select 15 players every single week from scratch. You're going to have 11 players playing, and obviously 4 players on the bench, so 1 goalkeeper and 3 outfield players. The budget every week is 100 million, but the player prices are the same as in FPL. So if I quickly just go to the FPL screen, Haaland has risen from 14 million to 14.3 million in the main game. So 14.3 million will be his price in FPL Challenge as well. So the prices for players will be exactly the same as they are in the official game. But not the official game, the main game, right? You know what I'm trying to say. 2 goalkeepers, 5 defenders, 5 midfielders, and 3 forwards. So exactly the same as FPL. And you have to play the same kind of formations as well. So you must play at least 3 defenders and 1 forward. So you can play 5-3-2, 5-4-1, 3-4-3, 3-5-2, etc. But you must always play 3 defenders and 1 forward. You choose a captain and a vice captain. That works exactly the same. If your captain doesn't play, your vice captain will come in instead. And the point scoring is identical to FPL. So you get 4 points for a goal for a forward, 5 points for a midfielder, etc. outside of the weekly challenges, which will give you extra points. So let's talk about them. So every game week is going to have a new weekly challenge, which might be additional ways to build your squad. It could be that certain players score extra points. It might even be, and they haven't said this, but they could place restraints on how you build your squad as well. So it might be in a future game week, you have to pick a squad where every player is 7 million or less. There's lots of different things they can do with this, and I hope they keep it fresh because it is going to add a little bit of fun into every single game week where you're picking your squad. We know what the next 3 weekly challenges are. So in game week 30, it's unlimited funds, which is pretty self-explanatory. No restraints on your budget. Create your ultimate dream team. I will say, I don't think that one is quite as exciting as it sounds, specifically for game week 30, because Man City are playing Arsenal, so it's not necessarily the worst week to go against players like Haaland and De Bruyne. and they're two of the most expensive players in the game. And in general, FPL player prices are quite low. So I think you're going to be able to build a good squad this week, no matter whether you've got unlimited funds or not. I think in previous seasons that would have been good. And I'm sure in future weeks where, you know, Trippier, Trent, Haaland, De Bruyne, Son, Salah, etc., all have great fixtures, that could be fun. But for Game Week 30, I'm not sure it's that exciting. But that is what we have. Game Week 31, forward score double. So all forwards score double points, plus you have captaincy on top. So I guess in that week, we'll be focused more on putting money there. You're definitely going to want 3 forwards, whereas in other weeks, you might want to play 3-5-2. And in Game Week 32, it's called Reds Rivalry. And all players from Man United and Liverpool score double points. Now, I do think that provides a little bit of thought, because you might be looking at it thinking, well, I don't want Man United players against Liverpool. But if they're going to score double points, it could be worth it. So that's something to think about that week at least. Do you go all in on those players? Or if you think Liverpool are going to win 4-0, is it just worth ignoring Man United players completely, even though they scored double points? So that's the next 3 game weeks. Obviously, those weekly challenges will continue, and I'm interested to see what they go with. So outside of picking a new squad every week in the weekly challenges, what are the main differences to FPL? So you can now pick up to 5 players from one club rather than the limit of 3 that you have in the main FPL game. And that's going to allow you to target teams with great fixtures, right? How many times in the past playing FPL have you said things like, I wish I could have more than 3 Liverpool players. I wish I could have more than 3 Man City. Well, now you can, up to a maximum of 5. So for example, in Game Week 30, Spurs have got Luton at home. If you wanted to, you could have all of Porro, Udogie, Maddison, Richarlison, and Son. You don't have to do that, but now you've got the option. The other thing that's different are the deadlines. So in the main FPL game, you have to have everything locked in an hour and a half before the kickoff of the first match that game week. Now, the deadline for each player you pick is the kickoff time for their match, right? And if someone isn't starting or not in the squad, you can transfer them to someone that hasn't played yet. So to give you a couple of examples, let's say in your FPL challenge squad for Game Week 30, you put Salah in from Liverpool, right? They're playing at 2 o'clock on Sunday. You'll get the team sheets at 1 o'clock. If you notice that Salah's not in the 11 or not in the squad at all, you can transfer him to someone different that hasn't played yet. Obviously, you can't transfer him to someone that has already played because you just picked someone that's done really well. So if Salah's not in the squad, before 2 o'clock, you can transfer him out. Obviously, once Liverpool have played, then that's locked in. So you could move him to someone else from Liverpool, someone from Brighton, or you could go to Man City or Arsenal because they won't have played yet. Similarly, if you do pick those 5 Spurs players, right, and Richarlison doesn't start, and he's playing at 3 o'clock on Saturday, and you get the team sheets at 2 o'clock, then up until 3 o'clock, you can get rid of him for someone that hasn't yet played, right? So you got a lot more choice then. I quite like that because it's not as fun sometimes when you pick a player that started 15 games in a row and all of a sudden they get dropped. But I think if this is supposed to be a more casual game, then checking all the lineups during the weekend is probably not that casual, right? I mean, the fact that it's a weekly game means it doesn't matter as much, absolutely, because if you do get screwed over, whatever, right? You just enter a new squad for the next week. But I think in some ways that's not really that casual. But also, I know a lot of people would like to get the team sheets before they have to lock in their decisions. So overall, I think that's quite a good thing. I'm just not sure it's necessarily a casual thing for a game that's meant to be more casual. But either way, that's the main differences. Let's take a look at my squad for Game Week 30. So this is the initial draft that I've come up with for FPL Challenge in Game Week 30. And in my main 11, I've only actually targeted 4 teams in total. So Chelsea against Burnley at home, Spurs against Luton at home, Liverpool against Brighton at home, and Aston Villa against Wolves at home. I've got no Man City or Arsenal players whatsoever. Because it's unlimited funds, I have put Haaland on the bench. But I feel like in a game like this, where you're not going to be punished long-term for your decisions, I'm more willing to take on players like Haaland. In my main team, in FPL, I've got him and I'm going to play him this week. But for FPL Challenge, I think I would leave him out. So this is what I've gone for in the 11. Petrovic in goal for Chelsea, Burnley at home. I do think long-term there's maybe concerns over whether Sanchez will come in, but short-term I'm not that worried about it. And then I've got Kelleher on the bench. In the back 3, it's Porro and Udogie from Spurs. Am I massively confident about a clean sheet from them against Luton at home? Not necessarily. Their defence hasn't been great this season. The Luton attack is not that bad either. But on paper, it's a great fixture. And both of those players can be fairly attacking. And then the last defender I've got is Van Dijk with Brighton at home. We know that he's always going to start. I would say if I was around at the Liverpool, if I was around to get the Liverpool lineups ahead of them kicking off and Bradley was starting instead, I might swap them. But as a bit of security, I know Van Dijk's going to start. That's why he's in the main 11. In midfield, I've gone for 5, so 3-5-2. I've got Son, Maddison, and Richarlison, hoping for a high-scoring game between Spurs and Luton, or at least from Spurs' side. I will say in the reverse fixture, it was quite tight. I think Spurs got a red card in that game as well, but they had a lot of chances very early, and I think the floodgates could have opened if they just had one of those chances go in. So I'm pretty confident they will do well in this game. And obviously, Son and Maddison definitely going to start. I'll just have to keep an eye on Richarlison. I could switch him to someone else. Salah, Brighton at home, he's a no-brainer. I don't have him in my main FPL team. I want him in this one for sure. I think Brighton is a good fixture. And then despite it being unlimited funds, Cole Palmer is just such a good pick. I don't care that he's cheap. Burnley at home is a great fixture. He's nailed on penalties, etc. He's got to be in the team. And then up front, it's Watkins and Darwin Nunez. I'll have to monitor whether Darwin's going to be fit to play because he's currently flat, but I'm sure he's going to be fine. And obviously Watkins has been great. I think in the main FPL game, Watkins will start to get sold soon, and that makes sense because of the upcoming fixtures. But the beauty of this is you just don't have to worry at all. You're picking for 1 week only. And on the bench, it's Kelleher, Haaland, Chilwell, and Robertson. So I got 5 players from Liverpool and 5 from Spurs. I'm just not sure, looking at the rest of the fixtures this week, there's a huge amount of other players to go for. Like if Darwin wasn't fit, I could just play Haaland. I could play Solanke against Everton at home. I guess the more I play this game, the more open I'll be to certain punts. I think like that is, do you know what I mean? If I was free hitting in FPL, that's the kind of team that I would pick. But maybe there is room to go a little bit different. Like Muniz against Sheffield United, for example, could be a really good option. Chris Wood against Crystal Palace. There's plenty of players you can go for. And I do think people will be more open to making those kind of moves because you're just not going to get punished for it long term. Whereas in FPL, you're going to go for the slightly safer pick because you know you're probably going to have them in your team for kind of 3 or 4 weeks. So this is basically like a free hit every single week, apart from there's going to be challenges as well. So I really like it. Let me know what you think in the comments below, not just about my draft, because I'm sure a lot of you might hate it, but what you think about this game overall. Are you going to be playing? If you've enjoyed this video, give it a like, hit that subscribe button and rate 5 stars if you're listening on podcast. In terms of content for the game, I'm going to wait and see how popular it is, and that will kind of reflect on how many videos I do about it. I think because it's essentially a free hit team every week, probably 1 video a week is enough. But if I need more than that, who knows? Maybe even do it on a separate channel or something like that. Either way, if you're really enjoying the main FPL game, that is where the majority of content will be. It's not going to suddenly switch over to FPL Challenge, but I will be talking about it every week. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Send me a tweet on Twitter as well. Otherwise, yeah, I'll catch you maybe later today if there's another video to do. Otherwise, tomorrow.